right, hello and welcome everybody to another cast in Alchemy League Season 10. I am your humble tournament host, Tech Chariot. We are just starting Sprint 2 of Alchemy League Season 10, but we actually don't have enough recordings for it yet. So we've got one set from Sprint 1, from the end of Sprint 1, and we've got another one from Sprint 10 here, or from Sprint 2. We are on Season 10, as I may have mentioned, of Alchemy League, and as the banner up here might say. We have an open map contest. This is an Age of Empires 2 tournament. It is 1v1. We got a number of different maps. There's different featured maps each rounds. The rounds generally overlap. You're matched up against an opponent who is kind of nearby you in skill. And today we're going to feature Manzanito versus Jasuni, so 29th and 39th seeds, and then after that we are going to feature Kablo versus Forteriker here. So we're talking about between 1100 and 1300 basically are the players that we're going to cast today. So it's going to be maybe it'll be a little bit of a low elo legends cast here, although that's basically probably where I would be if I were to play. So, because most of the people that play in Alchemy League are much better than me actually, but I do have omnipotence from being able to see the entire map, and so there is that. So I'm at least somewhat qualified to talk about what they're doing. But I'm extra qualified today because we are very lucky to have Hyder joining us. Hyder has been in every single season of Alchemy League and the King of Ireland tournament. Hyder and I go way back for many years. He's a good friend of mine. He is from Italy, and I remember in the King of Ireland tournament when Hyder was a cute little 1300 player, and now he's up here. He's up at 1800, and he probably could be 2K if he really ground it out on the ranked ladder for a while, although that would take a lot of time and investment. So welcome, Hyder. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, and thank you for the intro, Tech. I'm happy to be here, and I was just thinking, I've been casting Alchemy League since Season 4. We should have probably done a co-cast earlier on, but today we're finally doing it today.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, Hyder's been really great in the sense that Hyder believes in the league. He's one of those fanatics that's just like, Alchemy League is a great thing. You know, Tech Chariot, he's an okay guy, but the Alchemy League format we really need to make happen. We really need people to learn about this. We need people to realize that this is a great format. And so he's been a huge supporter of us for a long time, and that support doesn't just extend to saying nice things, although nice things are always they're nice, and if you say nice things, it very often counteracts negative things, or at least the lack of nice things. It can be motivating, but Hyder goes a step beyond that, because as Hyder mentioned, he's been casting since Season 4. So that basically, and Hyder is our only other regular caster. So that means that Hyder will actually take the initiative to create content for Alchemy League. He'll sometimes stream his own point of view, but more often than not, he will cast random other people who he may or may not know, who have played Alchemy League games to try to show the league format and the maps to the outside world. So we really appreciate that. That's what makes Hyder extra special. And to his point about not overlapping in the co-casting, it's all right. Hyder, you couldn't hide from me forever. No, just joking. We only started co-casting last season. It was kind of our idea to invite co-casters in to sort of just get more people involved in talking about Alchemy League. And it's only a little bit more work to set up and coordinate with somebody, and it can make a big difference. So we only started doing it last season, and the reason we didn't have the overlap, at least my understanding of it, was that it was more efficient because Hyder and I were already very motivated. It was more efficient if we didn't overlap, because that overlap was seen as chewing up our time. Like if Hyder were going to invest 2 hours into casting Alchemy League this weekend, would the league be better off if Hyder and I both cast during the same set, or if we both casted different sets and covered more people? Now, having said that, there isn't really a lot to cover. So that's why it actually works out really well that we're here today. And of course, there's also the enjoyment aspect of it too. Like I agree. I think this is a lot of fun. Hyder's a good guy, and so we're happy to co-cast with him today.
Yeah, I think the one big issue for the two of us casting together will also be the time zones, right? It's not going to be easy to find a an available time for the two of us because there's what 7 hours difference. So there's that to keep in mind.
Yep, Hyder is Italian time. I think Italy is all one time zone. But yeah, he is several hours ahead of us, so therefore we got a nice European friendly. A lot of the guys are from Europe actually in Alchemy League. So and South America, Europe and South America, few guys from the U.S. But that's my dream, right? Is to get so many people playing in Alchemy League that we actually match make people based on time zone. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? That's how the ranked ladder works because it's got enough people for it, and we can be just as good as the ranked ladder. If Alchemy League gets big enough, we can basically be the new ranked ladder, and we can decide what the maps are for the ranked ladder instead of the devs just picking things out of a hat. All right. So let's see here. I talked a little bit about the players. I'm going to go over them again real quick. Jasuni's been with us for a while. He's also been with us, I think, since Alchemy League Season 4. And he is from the United States. He also makes maps. So Jasuni actually has a map in the map pool this season. It's called Spring Hills. But unfortunately, we will not see it today. Because it just didn't happen in the sets that I sort of randomly picked. And Cablo is new to the league as of this season. I hear that he's been having a good time. He is from Spain. He is a friend of Jasuki's. Jasuki's been helping us out. He's a friend of one of our map makers. And Manzanito. Manzanito, I think, is from Mexico. He is also new to the league as of this season. And Forteriger joined in Season 8 and somehow miraculously stuck around through that carnage. And he is from Ukraine. So we're really grateful to these guys. We got a large number of newer players here, except for Jasuni. He's been with the league for a little while. So even though Jasuni's the last seed, he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He likes the custom maps and he's experienced on them because he's played with the league the longest. So any comments about the players before we go into the drafts, Hyder?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Jasuni, he might be the lowest seed, but I remember him taking games from much higher rated opponents in past seasons. So he's got a bite to him. And Manzanito, he mentioned he joined Season 8 and he survived that madness. And oh boy, was that a crazy one. Yeah, for the Riger, sorry, not Manzanito. Yeah, Season 8 was crazy. And I'm glad he liked it and stuck around. Because For the Riger has also been helping him around with the league, if not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and we've had some conversations about it. I think he'd like to take a little bit more active role, but I gotta finish the community's constitution first before I can really formally assign any roles. And sorry if that's not true anymore, Forteriger, and we just kind of roped you into it. But all we're trying to say is that Forteriger likes to do his civic duty to contribute to a positive tournament ecosystem. I think that's always going to be fair. All right, so now we're going to go into the drafts for the maps. The way that the maps work is we showed you on the web page. We basically are looking at rounds 2 and 3 for map of the round here. So you know that we're going to see conflagration and we're going to see bluegill, and this is why we like to choose different rounds to feature in the same cast. Is so that we don't have repeats of the same map. We want to show you guys variety within the same video. So we are definitely going to see conflagration and we're definitely going to see bluegill. For Manzanito versus Jasuni, they had to pick conflagration because that was the map of the round, and then they took turns banning maps until only none remained, and the last one that was banned is Shogun. These guys could play in they could either play 2 or 3 games. The tournament format is flexible. Whatever they want to do, they choose. The tournament doesn't care. The tournament will just take we'll just calculate their statistics based on however many games they play. So it's just a denominator somewhere. They only have time for 2, or that's fine if they have time for 3, but they think that their opponent doesn't have good civs for the remaining map. That's fine too. So the map's being played in reverse order. So we're going to see Conflagration and Shogun from these 2 players, and for Forteriger and Cablo, we're going to see Bluegill and Emigration. I believe that these are both 2 rec sets, if memory serves. Anything about the maps, Hyder?
I'm curious to see how they will be playing Emigration, because that seems to be the craziest map we have in the tournament up until now. Yeah, all games I've seen there have been amazing.
Yeah, really. It's put up some good games for us, that's for sure. All right, so the civilization draft, the way that it works is the admin randomly bans 16 civilizations, and then they each globally ban 4, so there are a ton of civilization bans initially, and then they take turns picking civs, and then there's a snipe in the middle. We just redid this, so I don't exactly remember how it works. But what I can tell you is that Manzanito has the option of Spanish, Mapuche, Way, Romans, and Bulgarians, and Jasuni has the option of Poles, Saracens, Jurchens, Tupi, and Teutons. So comments on the civs, Hyder?
Well, they both have civs I really like. I mean, I've already talked about my love for the Jurchens. Poles can be very nice depending on the map. I don't think they're as strong as they used to be because of how exposed your farming leaves you. But yeah, I like both civs, but I really like the Way and the Romans as well. So, and the Bulgarians. So probably I prefer Manzanito's draft because he has 3 civs I really like, whereas Jasuni has 2.
I'm looking forward to getting into it then. We're not going to go over the civilization draft for Forteriger and Cablo yet. We're going to save that for later, right before we cast their games. All right, so without further ado, we will transition scenes here, and we will get into the game. I'm at 1 second, and I am ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, I'm at 1 second as well.
So this is Jasuni versus Manzanito. Can you confirm that's where you're at?
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, ready to go in 3, 2, 1, unpause. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first game in today's stream. We are casting Jasuni versus Manzanito on Conflagration. Conflagration is a really fun, I don't know what it is exactly. I guess I could call it like a 4 Lakes style map. But instead of fish in the corners, we got some bonus gold in the corners and a few deer. Conflagration was made by our veteran scripter, Welcome to Rapture. He's helped us out with maps since Alchemy League Season 6 now. Good guy. He is from, I think he's from the Netherlands. I believe he's Dutch. He could be from Belgium. So if you're in the chat, Welcome to Rapture, you can, or you see this video, you can clarify for us if you really want to. I don't want to say that there's not much of a difference between the Dutch and the Belgians, because I'm sure that they'd be, oh no, there's a big difference. But it's kind of like the Low Countries, from what I remember, that area of the world. I always try to learn these things about people. And we've got this monument in the middle. That has the appearance of a pagan shrine and all of the descriptions. And this pagan shrine is reversibly capturable. It starts out under the control of Gaia, and it gives you 10 population space. We've got, oh boy, I don't know what this is. The Tupi, or not Tupi, played by Jasuni. And then we have the Way played by Manzanito. So, Hyder, you're going to have to help me out with these new civilizations, because I don't really know anything about them.
Okay, so starting with the Tupi, because they are a South American civ, they can make the settlements instead of mills, lumber camps, and mining camps. And that building basically counts as a universal drop-off point. for all of the resources, and it also gives them 5 pop space. And every single of one of the new civs has a bonus for the settlement. So in the case of the 2P, they can garrison their villagers inside of them, and it has a limit of 5. And just because of that, I thought Jasuni would drop the settlement on the berries, because then it can double as a drop-off point for the berries and the woodline, but he opts for the woodline.
That is an interesting choice. Could it be that Jasuni doesn't know that the settlement will accept berries? That can't be, because he probably doesn't have the ability to place a mill, does he? These guys can't build mills. I'm assuming they can't build mills, lumber camps. Or maybe they can.
Yep. No mills. No mills
Really?
whatsoever.
Okay, so let me ask you the hypothetical question then. What if there is an islands map, and there are berries on that island, and the berries occupy all space except for 2 tiles around the edge? So basically the berries completely fill the island except for 2 tiles to the coast that you could fit a mill in. You're telling me that the 2P could not take those berries?
Yeah, exactly. They would have to drop them off at the TC, because the settlement is 3 times 3 dimension. Or
If they could walk to even walk to the town center. If it were an island all by itself, they would not be able to. So they would be pretty stuck then. They don't even have the option to build a mill. That's unfortunate.
Yep. Yeah.
Jasuni is building another settlement here in the corner. Maybe Jasuni believes that the 2P will help him nail down these corners more effectively. It looks like he's... Oh no, he has not sent... He's got a Champy Scout here. I've heard mixed reviews about the Champies. I've heard that they're both overpowered and underpowered at the same time.
So the Champies, they were broken when they released the saves, and now they basically nerfed them to the ground, and they're pretty much pointless.
Cookie Pirate is here in chat. He says, "What up, Tekken Hider?" Hey, Cookie Pirate, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. You were saying something a little bit more about the Champies, Hider.
So they basically reduced the base stats of the Champy, or rather, they reduced the attack, because they killed villagers too easily because they had the same attack as an eagle in Dark Age. But they also increased the creation time. So now it takes, I think, 21 seconds to make a militia, whereas it takes 40 seconds to make a Champy. Meaning that basically these saves have been locked out of Dark Age rushes of any kind, which makes no sense because these saves have no cavalry, right? So most of the times they're going to go into archers, and militia into archers is one of the most common openings you will see on any open map with archer saves. So I don't know. I don't like. I like the idea of Champions. I just don't like the way the devs have been treating them.
Well, do you like the way that Manzanito's built his town? Look at this. Manzanito has made a little pocket out of the berries. A lot of people like to wall in these berries, but then there's always a hole somewhere, or often a hole somewhere that they miss. And Manzanito's got some... He's got 3 berry pickers taking berries inside of this super woodline here. And he's got some militia that he's making. And Jasuni is building 2 forward barracks. What is this? So these guys are going to brawl pretty early. Who's ready? Who's more prepared for the brawl? Maybe the Way have some bonuses for this militia, and that's what they're doing. I don't really know. I don't know enough about the Way.
So Way don't really have a bonus for their militia. They're more of a economic approach, because for every economic upgrade you research, you get 1 extra villager from your starting town center, which is pretty good. And then once you get to Castle Age, you have amazing cavalry, basically. So it's kind of odd for him to open with militia. Especially considering he's going into scouts now. So it's going to be militia into scouts. And Jasuni building to barracks, I think that's due to what I was talking about earlier, right? The fact that champion scouts take way longer than militia to create. So basically 2 barracks are going to have the same production speed of 1 barracks for militia. And he's going forward. Oh, he gets a bill.
He does get a villager kill, and it looks like he's going to get another one here.
Yeah.
This Champy is chasing down this villager. Maybe Manzanito can save it with the scout. Looks like he's going to do that. Yeah, the villager gets away. So Jasuni attempting a Champy rush of sorts. Whereas Manzanito made some militia and wandered through Jasuni's town, got shot down by the town center, and Manzanito is also kind of distracted by these Champies. He's got his scouts fighting the Champies instead. Maybe the Champies are a super cheap unit, or maybe they're very expensive, I don't know. Jasuni looks like he took the hill here. But I think the scout is still going to win. Micro's the scout back. Yeah, the scout still wins. So Manzanito still has some way scouts on the battlefield. And I think Jasuni might be in trouble.
Yep, Jasuni, he was not producing from those barracks. He made a couple of Champies at the start and then stopped. And Champies are always going to lose against scouts. Because they have the same base attack, but scouts have more HP. And I think they also have a faster attack animation. So if you take the fight one-on-one, you're always going to lose. Also, one thing I hate about the Champies is that the Dark Age version, the Champion Scout, has +1 attack against cavalry as a bonus. But the moment you turn them to Champion Runners, so the moment you get the Feudalize upgrade, they lose that bonus attack. Which makes no sense. I don't think there's any single unit in the game which loses bonus attacks when upgraded. If anything, they should be getting more, but yeah.
Well, they have 5 attack, so they should be doing more damage to scouts, right?
But scouts have
3 + 1 versus 4. Ooh, that's a very unfortunate fight for Jasuni under the town center.
Yeah, and Jasuni is also not looking at home. He's going to lose a Vil to very weak scouts. Actually, he might lose a second. Ooh.
Yeah, and he could have fought those scouts too. They weren't that strong.
Yeah, I think he was just not looking. Yeah, now he notices. He jumps into the settlement. Yeah.
He jumps into the settlement for safety. That's a useful bonus there. That's kind of like the Khmer bonus, but on steroids when you think about it.
Yeah, because, I mean, technically speaking, the Khmer bonus would be cheaper because a house is way cheaper than a settlement. But at the same time, you drop the settlement on a resource and you already have your safe spot, whereas with the Khmer you also have to remember to build a house nearby your mining camp or whatnot. So I would say the Khmer bonus is better, but this one is easier to use.
Now, according to my math here, Jasuni is actually, not my math, but my statistics that I've got on my screen, Jasuni is actually tied with Manzanito for villagers. Like, he is competitive in villager count to Manzanito. I guess Jasuni has maybe gotten a villager pick off here or there, but Manzanito did get an excellent find on Jasuni's deer and kill a villager that way. So they're both pretty open. They're kind of having a bloody conflict here. Neither one has... I guess Manzanito is attempting to wall off his town. Jasuni has not attempted to wall off his town, but also has the settlements that he can hop inside. Although these scouts could be... Oh, Jasuni. He doesn't notice.
Those scouts...
Oh, that's a good reaction. He's going to fight him.
Those scouts are very weak. Yeah, they're too weak. You can just fight them off with veils.
Oh, Manzanito. No, Manzanito. I think Manzanito should just scout the map with those scouts at that point. Although he might... Oh, he could have benefited from the exploration. So Jasuni reacting quickly, killing the scouts, which is a good decision. And I think Manzanito's out of scouts now. But Manzanito has some man-at-arms and a few archers. And Jasuni keeps on trickling these Champy runners into Manzanito's base, which I guess is annoying, although this one only has 3 HP. So gets shanked down pretty easily. So forward barracks, good idea or bad idea?
I like it. I don't mind it. I think if Jasuni had remembered to keep on production, he would have found more damage. But as I mentioned, he made a couple of champions and then basically stopped production until he lost all of the ones he had on the field and then made some more. So I like the idea. The execution could have been better. Because at the end of the day, champions, I know they die to scouts, but they have 2 base pierce armor, so archers basically tickle them.
Yeah, the
And if
archers
you're
only deal four attack apiece, so 4 minus 2 is just 2 damage, and that means it takes 20 arrows to bring down one of these Champy runners. They're like Boromir.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, if you open champions and you see your opponent is going scouts instead of archers, you can just sprinkle a couple of spears there to take down the scouts. But Manzanito, he's doing the correct answer to the champions, in my opinion, which is Man-at-Arms. Because Man-at-Arms will always kill the champions, and they also take care of the spears, which the scouts cannot. But Manzanito is not taking a great fight here.
Maybe at the
Mostly
hill, he had the hill disadvantage,
Yeah.
perhaps? Because the Champions were garrisoning out the back and then coming around, getting some bonus damage that way. And yeah, Manzanito's on the run.
Yeah. And Jasuni is going to claim this army. He made good use of the hill. He is farther away from castle than his opponent. But Manzanito, he's adding some scouts. I don't really like that. I think he should just wall up, go up to Castle Age, and use the Castle Age power spike to kill the champions.
Now, what do Wei do in the Castle Age that's so impressive?
So, they don't have knights. They have the regional unit for the Three Kingdom Civs, which is the Heguan Cavalry, which is basically a knight with much higher armor and attack, but lower HP. Now, the thing is, the way they get bonus HP on that cavalry. So instead of having, instead of having 80 base HP, they have 92, which is basically just 8 less than a normal knight. And then they have a unique unit, which is the Xianbei Rider, which is basically a cavalry archer, which is very costly when it comes to wood, but it's very cheap on gold. It's 60 wood, 20 gold, which is very cheap.
So it sounds like they have very specialized units then. You're talking about a knight with less HP without unbonused HP, but more armor. That basically screams, this unit is powerful, but you got to use it in a specific situation.
Yeah, having more armor and less HP, it's balanced out in such a way that against archers and other knights, they basically perform like normal knights. But the fact that you have less HP makes you more vulnerable to pikes, because pikes are mostly bonus damage. They don't really care about armor that much.
Mm-hmm. That's true. The armor is small compared to the bonus damage.
So I think they die in probably 1 or 2 attacks less than a normal knight.
So Jasuni has the villager advantage. He's pulling ahead because Manzanito is advancing to the Castle Age. So maybe Manzanito just trying to wait out Jasuni here. Jasuni attacking the range. I think that's a little bit of a mistake. He's losing units for free. He should be trying to get up. He's got the food to go up, but I don't know that he plans to go up. He's got 3 barracks making these Champy runners. And he's just added a 4th barracks making the Champy runners, and he's adding more houses. So is this a Goth Zerg style flood here of Champy runners? Is his goal just to overrun his opponent with massive numbers of raiding units?
I mean, if Jasuni was up to Castle Age, I would love his position, because the moment you get to Castle Age and you get the Castle Age upgrade for your champions, they kind of work like eagles. Like eagles, it takes a lot of time to create them in Feudal Age, but once you hit Castle Age, they get created much faster. So once you get the Castle Age upgrade for the champions, the creation time drops down to 20 seconds. And, okay, Jasuni is going to be cleaning this army though. He's going to clean the archers. But Manzanito, yeah, he's just going Heguan Cavalry and long swords.
So just
and that's another. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Jasuni might do the emergency sell a bunch of food to get some gold and click up maneuver after seeing your opponent hit Castle Age, but I haven't seen Jasuni do that. He's got 2,000 food in the bank, just about, almost 2,000 food, but he hasn't clicked up yet.
He dropped the market. So he's going to sell that.
He's been making spearmen instead.
Yeah, Spearmen are not going to cut it against longswords, though. I think Jasuni, he missed the timing, and he's just going to get overrun here. Which is a shame, because if he had been more conservative with his units and hit Castle Age, I don't know, even 1 minute later than his opponent, I think it would have been fine, because the moment they get to Castle Age, 2P have also access to the Ibirapema Warrior, which is created from their barracks, which is a tankier infantry, which deals damage in a cone in front of them, something like that. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's a strong unit, and I think it would have been enough to deal with the Hay-1 cavalry and the longswords. But right now, Jasuni has nothing to deal with those, and he's very open at home.
Yeah, if Jasuni could potentially survive, add a few more barracks or settlements, and avoid dying to these Hay-1 cavalry, I mean, maybe he could be in a good position, but he has to not lose a bunch of villagers between now and then. Jumping into the settlement. Yeah. Oh, here's the big Hay-1 cavalry raid. So Manzanito having the game sense to come over here and hit Jasuni's woodline. And he's killing some villagers now. Jasuni's only 3 villagers, now 2 villagers ahead of his opponent. He's about to be tied, and now he's dropped below his opponent's villager count. But he is in the castle age now. Should garrison the town center. I don't know, maybe Jasuni's still got some fight in him. Jasuni likes to fight. He doesn't like to give up. But he should be garrisoning this town center. I'm not sure what he's doing. Probably spending
I
his
don't think he's looking.
APM somewhere else. Okay,
Yeah.
He just garrisoned it now. He's getting the pikeman upgrade, the infantry armor upgrade, and he's getting the champy upgrades too. But I will say that Manzanito has only sent this small raiding party forward. Manzanito distracted by all these forward buildings that Jasuni built. I think Manzanito would get better value if he sent his entire army to Jasuni's base. What do you think, Hyder?
Maybe not the entire one. What I would like to see from Manzanito is keep the longswords there to take down buildings, because they basically eat through buildings, and then you use your mobile units to go to your opponent's base. Like the Hay-1 cavalry and the Xianbei rider there are doing nothing. They should be in Jasuni's base raiding and killing villagers.
So he's getting the Champy Warrior upgrade, but the barracks is just destroyed, so he's refunded for it, and he's set back in that upgrade.
Yeah. I think Jasuni's cooked here. I don't want to call it too early, but I don't see a way for him to take the game back. There's just too much army on the field from Manzanito.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Manzanito with 28 military to Jasuni's 4 military. And Champy Warriors are dying basically as quickly as they can spawn. Alright, he's queued up Champy Warrior tech in this other barracks that is about to die. So he cancels it, and he changes.
Put him on its own, yeah.
Aha, alright. It's a good idea. So he really needs that technology. Hyder was describing that there's a big power spike, and particularly with the train time is decreased for Champy Warriors.
Oh yeah, Champion Warriors in Castle Age can be insanely good if you can hit that spawning, that constant stream of units. They basically become, I wouldn't say just like Eagles, but it's comparable, right? One of the worst things to have happen to you in Age of Empires is having a flood of Eagles running into your base. Champions are kind of like that. They just hit harder than Eagles.
Now, one of the things that I'm wondering about is why did they take Eagles away from the Incas? Why don't they all get Eagle Warriors? And then maybe, I don't know, the Champy is just designed to fill a different role. Eagle Warriors would be a little bit more intuitive to understand, certainly. Maybe there's a good reason to take them away, though.
I think they would probably give you a historical accuracy explanation. Because to my understanding, Eagle Warriors were mostly an Aztec thing and maybe some Mayan thing, whereas the South American civs didn't really have that kind of unit. But I mean, if we want to go down that road, then you could make an argument that Aztecs did not have crossbows. So, you know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of opportunity to specialize the Mesoamerican civs a little bit more, because I doubt that the Aztecs had long swordsmen that looked like this either.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and Jasuni calling the GG, he realizes that he's been beat. He could not put out the flames, says he. Forsooth, he could not put out the flames. His village has been burning the entire game. And he will abdicate. Well, I think that was a good game. Jasuni just a little bit off with the timings there. Could have been very different if Jasuni had been Castle Age slightly sooner, had his upgrades sooner. He would have been able to maintain pressure on Manzanito and prevent Manzanito from building the Death Ball of, what is this called? Higuang Cavalry and crossbows and longswords.
Yeah, I do believe that if Jasuni keeps that army alive and hits Castle Age at around the same time as his opponent and keeps massing units behind that, then he can just snowball this by adding also the other unique unit, the Birapema Warrior. He was too hasty, basically. Which is something you see people do. I mean, I do it myself, right? You get an army lead in Field Age and you keep spamming because you're like, okay, I'm going to kill this guy. And then suddenly the opponent gets the Castle Age, makes a couple of knights, and kills your entire Feudal Age army.
Alright, let's take a look at the statistics. So Manzanito with a 2-to-1 kill-to-death ratio. Makes sense. Jasuni was making lots of cheap champies. He had 12 buildings raised. Largest army of 39 to Jasuni's only fielded 13 maximum on the field at any given time. Jasuni with way more food collected. Manzanito with way more wood collected. Jasuni collected about 500 more gold. Manzanito was faster to feudal and castle age. Explored more of the map while Jasuni had more research. Manzanito villager high of 64. And the timeline tells of Jasuni's disastrous battle before hitting castle age. So he had some good military presence here, some very competitive military presence. But Manzanito was able to get to the castle age, defend his people, and counterattack in a very devastating way.
Yeah, I think I was trying to think back at other games I've casted from Jasuni. I think not walling happens a lot to him. It's one of his bad habits. I think if he fixed that, he could probably be much higher elo. Because again, I think he had a good position. It's just that he lost the forward and then he was completely naked at home and he got raided to death.
Yeah, let's just say that you can tell Jasuni doesn't play a lot of team games, because you play a number of team games and you learn to wall pretty quick.
Yeah. Once you have 3 or 4 armies in your base, you start thinking, okay, maybe let's put down some walls, shall we?
Alright, let's go to replays, and we'll cast the second game of theirs, which is on Shogun. Alright, let me load into the replay here. Alright, I'm on time 0. Jasuni versus Manzanito on Shogun, and I am ready whenever you are, Hyder.
Yeah, I'm at 0 as well.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello and welcome everybody to the second game in our cast for today from Alchemy League Season 10. We are featuring Shogun by Biscuits. Biscuits always loves to make these Asian town themed maps or Asian castle themed maps. So I helped Biscuits make this map. He used the special player placement technique. So you always have these neutral lands in between the two players with some bonus gold. And then you have the players start in their own little mini arena base here, or fortress, I should say. It's got some stragglers in it, and it's got safe gold, and it's got the 2 boars, but it doesn't have any wood inside of it, and you cannot wall from the edge of this to the forest. So it's kind of a clever design choice that forces players to invest in defending their outside wood lines. And then finally, you have the central castle area, consisting of some stone from a collapsed ancient castle and some relics in the middle. And then there are old castle courtyard berry bushes growing around the outside of that. And then a few neutral walls that survived the collapse. So, I don't know, this is probably Hyder's favorite map. Maybe not. What are your thoughts, Hyder?
I like this map. I think I figured out how to play it after getting absolutely demolished on it by Kiritastrish. But that was my only time playing it. I think you have to play this aggressively. The walls, they're basically there to trick you into false sense of security. You cannot fast castle on this map. I think you just play feudal and you try to take map control, especially the middle.
So which walls? You mean the walls in the center are there to trick you, or your own personal walls around your town center are there to trick you, or both?
Your own walls, I would say.
So we got Spanish versus Jurchens. So I think that these guys would disagree with you. I think they're going to try to fast castle. Well, I don't know, actually. How good are the Jurchens at fast castle? I know the Spanish are all about fast castle and the conquistadors. The Jurchens, are they good with feudal age play? We're certainly not going to see a Spanish archer rush, but could we see a Jurchen archer or scout rush? Probably, right? Because the Jurchens don't believe in rotting meat. They're the ones that you love for meat not rotting. Is that right?
Yeah, I also think they have one of the strongest, if not the strongest, scout bonus in feudal age, because their scouts attack 25% faster. And to put that into perspective, the moment you hit feudal, your scout's damage output is higher than a Magyar scout, which gets the first attack upgrade for free. That's how strong it is.
That is pretty good. And it also leaves room for you to personally get that upgrade yourself later and have even more lethal scouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasuni's in chat. He says, it's been a while since I played ranked team games. Yeah, me too. Welcome, Jasuni. So, I'm going to make a prediction here, and you can tell me if I'm crazy. I think Manzanito's going to try to fast castle this as Spanish, and I think Jasuni is going to go Jurchen scouts and maybe get in on the woodline, get in on the berries. I think that I think Manzanito could be falling for the trap that you described, Hyder.
Yeah, judging by the Civ, I think he is going to fast castle unless he wants to trick Jasuni and do some kind of tower rush with the Spanish. That's something people don't really think about, trashing with the Spanish, which you can do because you're building those towers faster, which is actually a decent bonus. And I think Jasuni is going to fast castle himself because he's got 7 people on wood. So that doesn't seem like a feudal age build. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. He's up to feudal. Okay. 20 bills. Yeah, this is going to be scouts from Jasuni. Yeah. No, sorry, it's going to be archers because he's on gold.
Yeah, he's got two on gold. Manzanito is invested heavily in the forward berries. He's got 5 villagers, and you kind of need the food. You really. The berries are tempting because you don't have a lot of food in your base. And you don't want to build farms because it takes forever. So I don't want to sound racist, by the way, and say that all Spanish always fast castle. But I do agree with Hyder that sometimes you can pick these civilizations that have a reputation for something and benefit from that reputation without actually doing it. To basically force your opponent, maybe not force your opponent, but trick your opponent into developing a strategy that counters what they think you're going to do because of your civilization's reputation, and then you do something different. And maybe that's what Manzanito has done here, because he's built a forward barracks. So maybe Manzanito is planning some feudal aggression here. I personally love the idea of man-at-arms and towers on this map. I think it makes a lot of sense. You go and you maybe build a tower on your forward stone and your barracks there, and then you build some man-at-arms and you send them forward and you knock on the door here. Try to get to your opponent's wood line, because you know that your opponent is going to have an exposed wood line that is not connected to their town. And then you can build some towers and such to deny repair villagers. It could be pretty devastating. But I think Hyder's right. We don't really see a lot of Spanish man-at-arms and towers anymore because we're so what's the word, engrossed in the pro scene that we just basically mirror whatever the pros have determined is the optimal strategy. But the pros aren't playing on Alchemy League maps, you guys. The whole point is to be... Oh, what? Jasuni letting Manzanito in. Did you guys see that? Oh, dang, that's... Alright. Luckily, Jasuni is able to close this gate, so now Manzanito has a man-at-arms here. Jasuni's gonna fight it. Jasuni saying, your own walls will protect a portion of your economy, but there are often villagers exposed. Small walls can protect the wood line, though that has limits. Exactly.
Yep.
So Jasuni has gone scouts as Hyder predicted. Wait. No, this is just one scout. Where is Jasuni's... Oh, okay, here it is. Jasuni's got a forward stable. Yeah, alright, here are his scouts. And now he's also building a blacksmith. So he's going scouts, not archers. I wonder what all the gold is for then, Jasuni. Maybe it's for bloodlines and then something else. Maybe a few archers later on. Scouts plus archers is very powerful, but it's also extremely expensive.
Yeah, it's not an easy composition to get into.
And
I think...
Go ahead.
No, I think Jasuni's initial plan was fast castling, but then he saw the pressure from his opponent and realized, okay, no, let's play feudal. And that's why he is now switching to scouts instead of going for archers.
Alright, so Manzanito's plot to get through the gate is thwarted. He only had 2 units. I'm not sure where Manzanito's other units are. He's got 1 man-at-arms back here, to maybe to defend from Jasuni's aggression. And it looks like Manzanito... He's sending these villagers forward. Is he going to build towers or is he going to build a mill? It looks like he's building another mill. Okay. So he basically just built a man-at-arms here and a spearman just to kind of stick around and defend his berry pickers. Let's check Manzanito's resources and see where he's at. Because he might be looking at this saying, you know, I really just want to get up now. I've applied my pressure. I put Jasuni on the defensive for a little bit, and now it's time to get up. He is building a mining camp so he can take his gold, and he's built a ring of farms around his town center. But I don't think Manzanito is really planning much more aggression. He sent his man-at-arms forward to attack this stable, but he can't really get too far from these berry pickers, otherwise Jasuni will swoop in and eat some berry pickers. And Jasuni has berry pickers of his own here. A little bit of
Jasuni's going to lose... Yeah, he's going to lose the scouts to the spearmen. And yeah, I think Manzanito is now thinking about castle age, but I don't know if he should. Because as Spanish, you ideally want to go into conks eventually, but he still doesn't have control of the middle. Doesn't have a complete control of the middle. Now, he's going to have now because of the tower. So, he's just going to prove me wrong.
He's building a tower. This is a very pitched battle, basically. They keep adding more units to it. He should garrison this tower. Alright, the scouts are running away. And he's transitioned his berry pickers to stone miners. Meanwhile, Jasuni is building a tower of his own on the stone. So it has devolved, or evolved, depending on what you consider to be peak evolution. It has evolved into a tower war on the stone. Both players recognizing the bonus resources that this area provides. Jasuni a little separated though. He sent his scouts south for a raid and then decides to pull them back to fight in this brawl here and try to help the tower get up. It looks like the tower actually will be denied. Jasuni has to back up. Manzanito investing heavily, sending the villagers to fight this. Alright, so Jasuni needs to... Yeah, he needs to leave. I think Jasuni lost a couple villagers there too. Because Jasuni's at 31 villagers and Manzanito's at 33. So Jasuni's just going to take some stone. Manzanito has a scout here that Jasuni's going to have to fight. The scout doesn't realize that there is a 1 HP villager attacking it. So that's kind of lucky for
Not just
Jasuni.
now.
I really think Jasuni should get out of here with these weak villagers. He could send new ones, but this is just asking for trouble here. He could even small wall, but then Manzanito, if he gets another tower, if he gets an archer or something, and yeah, just this is not going well for Jasuni here in the center. Manzanito building another tower to solidify his grip over the central area. Spanish build towers so quickly too, so this tower is going to go up. Jasuni needs to get out of here.
Yeah, and
Is he going to realize
if I had to be picky about, I mean, critical of Jasuni's decisions, one thing I don't like is that he made his first barracks in the back. I think if he had a barrack forward, then instead of staying on scouts, he could have maybe transitioned into man-at-arms himself and take down those towers. But now there are 2 towers, and he doesn't have that option anymore.
So Manzanito has 700 gold and 200 food, so that's a classic unbalanced feudal age economy here. Jasuni getting the hill, and I guess he's having a scout join, and he turns him to fight. No, Jasuni, just run. Just save what you can, and it looks like that's what Jasuni is doing. Jasuni has also classic feudal age economy imbalance here. He's getting bloodlines. I don't think that's a worthwhile investment. I think he should cancel bloodlines, build a market, and just go up. You know that your opponent has an iron hold over the center, but Jasuni still wants to do feudal age damage. Maybe he feels that with these scouts he can break in through this palisade gate, now that he doesn't have to worry about defending the middle of the map, or contesting the middle of the map, I should say. Jasuni says, pretty much looks like a perfect map for conquistadors, especially once you realize there's unbuildable terrain on the slopes around your base. That's true. And Jasuni may not have realized that yet because he's attempting to wall here. But he's got mills with very exposed economy. But
Manzanito's up.
It has clicked up to the castle age. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Jasuni is in big trouble. If Manzanito gets to the castle age and can make conks, it's basically over for Jasuni. Conks destroy scouts. They destroy villagers. They basically destroy anything that is not monks or skirmishers. And even skirmishers they destroy. But there are generally lots of skirmishers, so it takes them a while to destroy skirmishers. So Manzanito has walled behind this palisade gate. So these scouts have another layer of walls to get through. Jasuni's still making scouts. Jasuni's slower to feudal age again here. And I think it's going to hurt him. He should just cancel all these scouts and click up. I think that's the right play here. But maybe Jasuni sees something in the map that we don't. He's got some scouts coming in to fight these man-at-arms. And he does kill them. The scouts have the first armor upgrade, and they have bloodlines. So they're decently upgraded. In fact, they basically have all the upgrades that anybody could ask of scouts. And, except for the attack, maybe? Do they have the attack upgrade? Where is it? Come on, come here. Let me select you.
Yeah, they have everything.
All right, so these are powerful. These are the most powerful scouts offered by the game. And Jasuni, fighting under these towers, doesn't care. Just wants to shut down the stone collection. Because he knows that if Manzanito can build that castle, he's in big trouble. Now, Manzanito doesn't quite have the stone to build the castle. But he could maybe buy the stone, sell some resources, build the castle. What do you do here if you're Manzanito?
I think he's doing the right thing. He's not abusing the market. He's just going to think, okay, let's keep conks for later. Let's make a couple of knights, secure the area, kill the scouts, and then we can go into castle with conks. I also like Jasuni's choice. Of course, he had the choice of going castle himself, but I like how he just made more scouts and forced his opponent to make a change of plans, so not going blindly into conks, but having to do something else, make him work, basically. And now he's up to castle. He's still making scouts. He added a second stable. I love to see that. And, I mean, if you can get to something like 20 light cav by the time... Sorry, 20 scouts by the time he gets to castle age, those are going to be faster attacking light cav. And let me tell you, they're insane.
Now, this barracks here is a huge risk for Manzanito, because you know what's going to happen. There's a gather point right here. The pikeman's going to come out. It's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go fight these scouts. And it's going to walk. Oh, no, it's not. He's going to wall that off. Maybe. The pikeman is going to try and come out and fight the scouts. And it's going to open the gate, and the scouts are all going to rush in. Through the gate.
Oh, no.
Maybe. Nope, they don't. He manages to wall it out. That's really good for Manzanito. I was pretty scared there for a moment.
But there's going to be knights on Jasuni's woodline.
Ooh.
He's keeping them out. Oh, Manzanito doesn't notice. He's going to lose knights to scouts. Okay, that's good for Jasuni.
Oh my goodness. And Jasuni even built a couple of spearmen too. Manzanito has not gone for the castle yet. Even though Manzanito's stone is pretty clear, has he... Okay, no, there is space to get out here. And Jasuni has a bunch of scouts. How many scouts does Jasuni have, you guys? It looks like he's got at least 10 scouts. Between 10 and 15 scouts, maybe. Well, okay, he had 10 and 15 scouts. Now these pikemen finally killed them.
And he's just 1 gold short of getting the light cap upgrade, which is pretty sad to see.
And no, and does he have the ability to take more? Oh yeah, he does. He'll get it. He'll get it. Jasuni says, not long before this game, there was something in the RMS Discord about how taking control of a center hill with resources basically guarantees victory. Well, I would not have seen it, but I think that that is an interesting conversation to have. I actually disagree, though. I think if the map is properly designed, it doesn't always guarantee victory. Because taking control of something in the center, it's got to come at a cost. It's got to only secure maybe 1 type of resource or 1 or 2 types of resources. Like, look at the bonus gold is out here. So controlling the center doesn't mean that you control the gold on the map. So as long as you design your map properly, shouldn't be a problem. But you know, some important maps may not have been designed properly. That can happen too. So we got...
I don't think controlling the middle here gives you victory automatically, right? And Jasuni is showing us that. Because as you said, it's stone. If this was the only gold available on the map, then yeah, of course, then taking control of that with the safety you have at home because of your starting position and how easy it is to wall the wood line. In that case, yes, taking control of that would give you victory. But in this case, no, it doesn't.
So Manzanito has denied this mill here. He's denied the farms on it. He's probably going to try to get in on Jasuni's woodline again. Jasuni should build some houses in here and keep these knights out. Now there's no time. There's no time for repairs. Manzanito hasn't noticed that he's through yet. What's Jasuni going to do? He's just got a bunch of scouts. Come on, Jasuni, build something.
Oh, he's switching to fire lancers.
They're light cav, lots of them. Oh my goodness. There's a
light
fire
cav
lancer here. Too many light cav for those pikemen. The light cav are going to come back and fight the knights again. I don't know that there are any villagers left here. Oh nope. Okay, two got through, and these knights are chasing them down. No, the knights are fleeing. All right, they don't want to fight anymore. There are a couple of spearmen here as well. And meanwhile, Manzanito still no castle. But he's got
no castle, and
he's got the stone for it.
Yep. Okay, yeah, he's going to drop a castle now. I think. Oh, Jasuni could actually deny that, no? Yeah. If he dives, he can deny. Oh no. Okay, quick walls. Okay, I think if you're Jasuni and you see the castle is going up now, you make a switch. I think you send everyone to gold and wood, and you start making cavalry archers, because the Georgian bonus for fast attacking mounted units applies to the cavalry archers as well. So it's either that, or you start making fire lancers to take care of the knights, and you add monks behind to take care of the kongs. I think those are the 2 options, but he's getting fletching, so I think it is going to be eventually a CA switch. Oh, and he got into Manzanito's base. Someone opened the gate.
Oh no! This is super annoying. Jasuni says there's a military advantage to controlling the center too, and that is that it is easier to attack from the middle than to attack from the sides. That's true, but it's also easier to be attacked from the middle.
And Jasuni is going to be on the woodland as well. Manzanito is not watching.
Oh no. No, Manzanito. This is exactly the kind of raid that Jasuni needs to win the game. He's got a huge villager advantage over Manzanito. Jasuni's raids have been a lot more effective than Manzanito's raids, even though Manzanito controls the center of the map very definitively. At least Manzanito is able to make conquistadors, which is what he needs. But Jasuni's economy is much stronger.
Yeah, Jasuni's economy is stronger. The only issue right now is that it is exposed. So he's got a lot of gold. I wouldn't be against him buying enough resources to drop two TCs. One on the gold on the woodline where his farming eco is, and another one on another woodline to secure resources. You don't really have to produce from all of those TCs, but you just drop them down as for protection, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the amount of damage you did to your opponent, honestly, you can keep spamming light cap. You add some monks just to keep the conks away, and you keep raiding your opponents to death. Let him have the middle. Let him have stone. That's going to be all he has.
Yeah, I think Manzanito needs some town centers on this wood to hop his villagers into every time Jasuni comes over for a raid. Or stone walls. You know, you're already on stone. You might as well stonewall it. And then at least you don't have to worry about light cav ever breaking through. Jasuni has definitely been exploiting the raiding potential for this map. So
Jasuni almost has...
conks. Look at that.
Jasuni almost has imp resources. I don't think it's going to go up to imp, but that's just how good his eco is.
It's got almost double the villagers here. 37 versus 72.
Yep.
The conquistadors outnumbered, not taking the greatest of fights. Can conquistadors raid when there are step lancers in approximately equal number on the map belonging to an opponent? The step lancers are faster than the conquistadors, aren't they? So they can just chase them down.
Yeah, they are faster. I think also Jasuni got husbandry, whereas Manzanito did not. Yeah, he didn't get husbandry, so they're going to be even faster. But Jasuni's advantage right now is that his army doesn't really need to be in a single spot or in a single group. He can just spread it out and go and raid his opponent, whereas Manzanito cannot, because conks, they kind of work like CA in the sense that you need to have them grouped up. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, a single conk can be annoying, but a couple of light cav will take care of that, right?
Now, what do you think of this second castle from Manzanito? Is this a good castle location?
No, I don't like it.
It doesn't answer raids. What does this castle protect that the first castle doesn't? Gives slightly more coverage over the center when he could have just castled on his wood line, and then he never would have had to worry about being raided on the wood line ever again. Those are my thoughts, at least.
No, I agree. I think that second castle should have been maybe not even on the wood line, but on gold, because Manzanito, he just ran out of gold at home, so now he's going to have to move out. And sure, you can drop a TC on that gold, but if Jasuni gets to enough light cap, he's got 21 on the field right now, he's just going to not care about the TC. He can just dive it, and if you have more than 15 villagers there, they're just going to die. And Jasuni is going up to imp. He's making use of the Jurchen bonus, which is you can get access to siege engineers in Castle Age. It is cheaper and research faster. No, it doesn't research. No, it does research faster.
So, yeah, this would have been a great location for Manzanito's second castle. There's a gold here, there's a wood line here, and there's an enemy TC that you could pressure with it. So basically right here in front of this blacksmith would have been a great location. Looks like we got a big fight here. Manzanito has come forward with a big conch army and some pikemen. And Manzanito with the momentum now.
Yeah.
He's got 42 military to Jasuni's 10 military. This is
Okay.
everybody's nightmare playing against the Spanish. This is nightmare fuel. There have been many dedicated Nomad players that that basically can't sleep because of this scenario.
I think that was a bad engagement for Jasuni. He didn't need to take that. He's on his way to Imp. Don't take that fight. Just run around, keep raiding your opponent, wait for upgrades. He seems to be switching to Grenadiers, which should be good, because the moment you get a good mass of them, they should be able to kill even the Kongs. Especially now that you have Siege Engineers, which affects the Grenadiers. So they're going to outrange the Kongs. Jasuni should also get Ballistics, because it does affect the Grenadiers. Most people think it doesn't, but it actually does. But now Jasuni is Imp. He could get Chemistry, get some Bomber Cannons out, and start trapping those castles. Sorry, not trapping, bombarding down those castles with Grenadiers. And I think that's going to win him the game.
So these Grenadiers are very... What do? They throw explosive bombs, which is kind of funny. And
Yep.
they blow up around the pikemen, and they harm the pikemen. Are Grenadiers good against Conquistadors? Let's see. It doesn't look like
If you
it.
get a decent amount, they're actually insane. They can kill anything. If you get a good group of them.
Second siege workshop for Jasuni. Doesn't look to be making anything out of it yet. Manzanito's been a little timid, you know. He hasn't taken the Conquistadors into the back of Jasuni's base. There are 2 mills back here. There's a lumber camp. I feel that he could do a lot of damage, but he kind of feels that Jasuni's no longer there. Maybe he thinks that Jasuni is more so active around these town centers, and he wants to secure this gold too. So he's building another castle here.
Yeah, but Manzanito is actually getting to a good spot, because now he's got a decent mass of Kongs. So even if he's behind in eco, he doesn't really care, because his military is going to be way stronger. And Jasuni, he keeps trying to kill the Kongs with the light cav. I think he's trying to address the issue at the wrong time. I think you just keep raiding your opponent with light cav, and you just mess up either Grenadiers or even Skirmishers to kill the Kongs. Because you're ahead in eco. Your opponent is still in Castle Age, so he has no way to trap you down. So drop a defensive castle and keep raiding your opponent while you mess up the counter to the Kongs behind. I think that would be the best approach.
So Jasuni will take your suggestion of dropping a defensive castle and raid your opponent, and he will raise you to drop an offensive castle and raise your opponent.
Yeah. I mean, that's another option, right? Just destroy your opponent's TCs so he stays forever Castle Age and he never gets to Imperial, and you just take it from there.
And look, and that's exactly what Jasuni's doing. He's queued a Trebuchet up, and he's queued up the unique tech for Jurchens. I don't know which one. It looks like the Castle Age one. Fortifications regenerate 500 HP per minute. Fortified bastions.
Yeah, that's an insane tech.
So I hear some Woolaloo.
Yeah, just Manzanito made a couple of monks, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, missionaries actually. And he took his opponent's market.
No, that's so annoying. So now Jasuni's going to have to build a new market. And actually Jasuni with 4,000 wood. So he can definitely afford to build a new market or 10 new markets, but that's not the point. The point is that he's got to take the time to build it now. Did Manzanito actually need a market? Did Manzanito have a market before that one?
I think it did.
I don't see it. Where is it? Where's Manzanito's original Spanish market?
The middle area, close to the castle.
Oh, yeah, alright, there it is. So he did have one. He didn't need it. He just did it to get in Jasuni's way. Jasuni coming in for a light cav raid, the ultimate unit of dishonor. Destroys Manzanito's town center. So Manzanito has another town center in the middle of the map, at least, and could go up on that town center if he wanted to. But Manzanito is... What's that?
Jasuni, he managed to catch some of the conks which were separated, so now he's whittling down the conks number. It's down to 12 now, so it's going to be way more manageable for him from this point onward. And he keeps raiding his opponents, so Manzanito, he managed to get up to about 60 vills. He's now down to 46 again. And Jasuni should be able to take this game.
Yeah, the game looks like it belongs to Jasuni. Maybe if you're Manzanito, you're kicking yourself, right? Why didn't I pick Bulgarians? Could have built creposts everywhere, kept his economy safe, but I don't think he could have predicted that Jasuni would go like turbo raid mode on him and literally be everywhere with cavalry.
Yeah, I actually think Bulgarians are a top tier pick on this map, because you can immediately fight for the middle because you have the Menace Armor upgrade for free. You take control of the stone, and then, as you said, just drop crab posts all over the map. You have amazing cavalry, you have amazing CA. So, given how open the map is, you have good options. I do believe Bulgarians can be a very good pick for this map.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, what would have happened if Manzanito had just, he had a couple of towers in the middle. He reaches Castle Age, he stonewalls in his wood line with a tower or two. Maybe probably just one, and then he just goes castle immediately. And he doesn't build any military, he doesn't let Jasuni slow him down. And then he gets in here with 10 conks or 3 conks or whatever. And he just focuses Jasuni's economy earlier with instead of letting Jasuni build up this huge economy that he's now using to create pretty much nothing but raiding units. Jasuni is winning this with cavalry, a trebuchet, and a castle. He hasn't really switched into other unit types, or if he did, he didn't make enough of them to get significant value out of it. I haven't just seen he went grenadiers, but what did the grenadiers do? They blew up 4 pikemen, and then he stopped making them. So Jasuni is really winning this with raids, with just strangling his opponent's economy. He's not fighting with the most efficient units, but he doesn't need to because he's so rich.
Yeah, Jasuni just playing the Georgians the way I like them to be played. Just full on scout. Nothing else, just scout. He's even getting sappers. Is he going to rush his opponent's buildings with builds? Or
I don't know. Who is that? Jasuni getting... Jasuni... It must be Jasuni getting sappers. He's the only one in Imperial Age.
Yeah. Maybe he thought he was Spanish for a moment there.
And Manzanito calls the GG. Wow, what a game. Jasuni tying it up with Manzanito here. Let's take a look.
That was a great game.
Take a look at the statistics. So Jasuni with 192 kills, 176 deaths. Raised 15 buildings, lost 14. Each player converted 1 unit. And he had a slightly larger army than Manzanito at its peak, 47 versus 46. Jasuni with 30,000 wood collected. Manzanito with slightly under half that. Jasuni with more wood collected too, more than double the wood collected as well. And look at these resources; they very much tell the story here. Manzanito with more stone collected, which makes sense, and slightly more gold collected, which also makes sense. Technology: Jasuni was first to feudal and Imperial Age, and Manzanito was first to Castle Age by several minutes actually. So he had a big Castle Age advantage, but I think he spent a lot of his time bogged down by raids because he never really pushed it. Jasuni had more of the map explored and a higher research count. For society stats, Manzanito built 3 castles. Jasuni only built 1. Manzanito captured 4 relics, had 1,700 relic gold, And Jasuni with a villager high of 117 versus Manzanito at 62 all-time high for villagers. And here's the timeline of Jasuni slowly throttling Manzanito's economy into submission.
Yeah, and again, I think part of Jasuni's win goes back to when his opponent was going castle, and Jasuni decided to just keep on making scouts to delay that inevitable castle. And basically that won him the game because the conks came so late that he had already done enough damage to basically make them pointless. I mean, Jasuni was ahead in eco the whole game. His opponent just never managed to catch up.
So let's see. Yeah, that was a great game. So I'm really glad that you were here to share that with me, Hyder. It was a special game. All right. So next up, we got Forteriger versus Cablo. I would like to take a very quick, like 3 minute break, if that sounds good to you, Hyder. Is that all right? A very quick 3 minute break, and we'll be
Yeah,
back
that's
to
perfect.
cast the second set. That'll allow me to go refill my water. So guys, we'll be right back in 3 to 5 minutes. Hyder and I will begin the second set. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. All right, I am back, and I am ready to go anytime. I think Hyder has still stepped away, but he'll be
Nope,
back
just came back
soon.
as well.
Aha, we found him. All right, excellent. Thank you for sticking with us, guys. Hyder and I have been casting some games from Alchemy League Season 10, and we're having a great time. We just covered an excellent game, or an excellent set, really, between Jasuni and Forderreiger. Or sorry, between Jasuni and Manzanito. Our next set is going to be Forderreiger versus Cablo. I'm going to show you guys their civilization draft. We've got the random admin bans, as you guys may know, and then they each globally ban some civs, and then they pick some, and then snipe some in parallel. There's this elaborate snake method that the Otter one invented, or maybe emulated. He helped us out with the draft. All right, so we've got the result of that draft ending such that Forderreiger has Vikings, Berbers, Lithuanians, Malians, and Khmer in his available pool. And Cablo has Magyars, Tupi, Georgians, Mayans, and Muisca in his civilization draft. So, any comments about this draft, Hyder, before we get into these games?
I see Cablo picked two of the new civs, so he's got both Tupi and Muisca. Mapuche were globally banned, so maybe that's why we don't see them in his draft. But aside from that, I think I prefer Forderreiger draft. He's got very strong civs over there for the maps we're going to be seeing. Yeah, I do prefer Forderreiger's draft. Vikings were picked first, so I'm guessing he's going to be playing them on Immigration. I'm curious to see what Cablo is going to be playing on Immigration, because he doesn't really have a water civ in his draft.
These are their maps. They need a water. They have bluegill and they have immigration. So they need a water civ, and they basically need a civ with an eco bonus. And so if we look at Cablo's draft, Mayans have an eco bonus. I don't know about Muisca and Tupi. Georgians, I don't think have an eco bonus either, nor do Magyars. But he doesn't have any water civs here. Whereas Forderreiger has civs with eco bonuses, and he's got Berbers or Vikings, which he can use for water. Khmer have an eco bonus, so I like Forderreiger's draft a little bit better myself.
Yeah, especially for bluegills, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play either Lithuanians or Khmer on that, because you have very little food. So either going fast on Khmer's farms, or sorry, early on Khmer farms, or having the Lithuanian food bonus at the start is going to be amazing on that map.
All right, guys, let's jump over into the games now. We're going to go over to the game screen share. Forderreiger versus Cablo, game 1, bluegill. Let's load into it. All right, I am on 0 seconds, and I am ready to go whenever you are.
I'm ready as well.
All right. So unpausing. This is the first game on bluegill that I have seen so far this season. This is the map that I created and submitted for Alchemy League, and it's a pretty scary map. Not a lot of food, and you can't wall to the edge of the map. You've got kind of this blue random area in the middle. Looks like we've got mangrove shallows and regular shallows here, so no deep water. And we've got a lot of bonus gold in the center. So I guess it's sort of similar to Shogun in the sense that there is a central resource to contest. And although you could get a bunch of gold by controlling this area, the units that you would typically control it with, aka ships, well, there's no wood that you can really... I mean, there's a few stragglers maybe, but all the wood is on the outside of the map. So we see Cablo playing as the Georgians, and we see Forderreiger playing as the Berbers. So what are your thoughts about these civilizations? They are totally not expected. At least I'm not expecting them. Do you understand why they picked these civs, Hyder?
Not at all. Honestly, I would have picked many different civs.
All right.
Georgians, I would have probably picked Georgians for immigration. I don't see what going Georgians here gives you. I mean, they do have a Nico bonus because you have the mule card for free at the start, but that's it. It doesn't really help you that much with having extra food and whatnot. And Berbers, I mean, Berbers, I could see an argument for them. They're going to have a rough start because of the lack of resources, and you don't really have a Nico bonus. But if you can manage to get to Castle Age, given how open the map is, you can just spam cavalry for days, and that's going to be very scary to deal with for his opponent.
That is true. This is a scouts map basically. It's a map where you can go scouts and you have some other options like center control, but you have to be careful. The scouts you can never wall out of your base fully, basically, because the edge of the map is unwallable, and the way that the eco works out with the amount of food that's available, you only have one boar. There are bonus sheep scattered throughout, which you can use your scout to pick up, or you can use your scout to push in deer. Forteriger actually has not taken his rhinoceros yet, which is somewhat interesting. But I think that maybe they just picked these civs because they recognize that the map is a scouts map. Although Forteriger adding a 4th villager to wood, so maybe he is not going scouts. But I see 3 villagers on wood here for Cablo, so I think Cablo is going to do a general scouts build on the map. Still not exactly sure about Forteriger. Maybe Forteriger is going to do some kind of crazy... no, there's no way you can fast castle. I would be very embarrassed if Forteriger got away with a fast castle somehow here. But I was like, all right, is he doing like a fast castle into camel archers? He's going to take this stone and he's going to run around and be super annoying with camel archers. Yeah, Hyder doesn't think that Forteriger can fast castle on this map. Forteriger building a dock. Hey! Welcome, Forteriger. He says, have no time to stay this time, but we'll watch the VOD later. Have a nice stream. Aw, thank you so much, Forteriger. Really appreciate that. So here he is. He's coming up with a villager, and he's going to build a dock here. You can dock this. The fish aren't too close to the town center. They have to avoid the town center by a certain distance. This is just about the closest that they can get on this map size. But, you could get 3 or 4 fish here. So Forteriger seduced by the dock. Cablo doesn't look like he's going to dock, though. I think Cablo is just going to do a straight scouts purism build. And we could see a really funny situation where we see Forteriger with a big snowball of unkillable ships, and Cablo with a big snowball of unkillable scouts, both coexisting on the same map but never entering each other's domain. He fights off a wolf, an Arabian wolf, actually. This villager's weak, though. He's got to be careful. This could be a free villager pickoff for Cablo. Is Cablo going to see this?
There 12.
Oh, no. Cablo. If Forteriger sees it, he's like, ooh. Alright, he's lucky. Cablo did not see that. If this were, if this were Wizanatic or something, they definitely would have seen it. And that would have been a dead villager there. But, these guys play at a level slightly higher than I do, and I probably wouldn't have seen it either. So, that's alright. There will be more opportunities for Cablo later on.
Okay, so they're both up to feudal age. Forteriger is going to invest into some fishing ships. I mean... on one hand, I don't like it. On the other, I'm like, okay, it's still extra eco. And it's easier now to defend your fishing ships because you can garrison into the dock and it will shoot arrows. Still, I don't know. I don't know how worth it is. Especially considering how little wood you have on this map. Do you really want to invest it into fish? We'll see. I mean,
yeah,
he's probably going to prove me wrong. So
maybe, but there's also not a lot of food here, so I definitely understand the temptation to go fish. Oh wow, that is a very bold scout fighting the town center there. But he does manage to survive because most of Cablo's villagers are not at home. They're out in the fields working. They're not able to garrison in the town center. Neither player has really built many farms here. I think they will start adding more farms as the game progresses. They usually do, right? But They'll add a lot more farms before Castle Age because they're basically out of food. There's a little bit in berries here. Forteriger building a stable as Berbers. And Cablo has actually gone range, which is very surprising to me. And he's on gold. I don't understand that.
I mean, we've seen people go for archers on this map, but the only times I've seen that was with a forward archer range, which, from what I remember, has been very strong. But yeah, I don't think archers are going to do too much here, especially when it was not a man-at-arm opening, so it's going to be straight archers. So he didn't really harass his opponent's eco. It's going to be scouts from Forteriger, which should be strong against the archers. He didn't complete the wall, but yeah, I don't think Cablo is watching. Yeah, no, that field will not go down.
So Cablo here, he's got a ball of archers that he's preparing. He's got his scout out patrolling. He's looking for some loose villagers. And you know, maybe the temptation here for archers is that because you basically have to small wall everything, archers are a lot better. I mean, look at what Forteriger's doing. He's literally walling against the quicksand boundary here. Not even exploiting this wood line, just trying to get as much space as he can for his base. And it requires a ton of resources. Will he have time, though? Cablo's here coming across the map with four archers. Hey, Johnny Walrus is here. He said Forteriger with the greedy boy plays. I agree. I think this is a little bit greedy, but it could pay off. I mean, it is, you know, it's like 600 to 800 extra food, depending on how you look at it. He garrisons in the dock. The fishing ships fire arrows. And Cablo decides not to stick around. This wood line is quite permeable, so Cablo could just slip through here and slip back here. Forteriger trying to finish his wall. No, Cablo, no! Alright, 2 villagers die. Sorry, 2 archers die immediately. And Forteriger with some scouts here. Yeah, Forteriger ungarrisons the scouts that he had intended. And these scouts are going to finish off the archers here. I think the archers are too slow. Could archers be viable? Well, Hyder was saying they could be, but you probably want a forward range for them to make them faster. And these archers are coming back. And Cablo is not walled himself. Cablo not realizing you can't wall to the edge of the map. There is an opening here in his wall. He could maybe station a couple of pikemen there, actually, right in that opening. And the scouts would be like, whoa, that's toxic. I'm not going through there. But Forteriger is coming, and he's got scouts. Now, I do like Cablo's... Cablo seems to have good eco development. He's got that full ring of farms now, although so does Forteriger. Let's compare ecos.
Forteriger should be ahead, right? He's got more farms, and he's got the 3 fishing ships working for free.
Yeah, he is slightly ahead. He's got three villager lead, basically. Jasuni says a small amount of fish is often worthwhile. It's like adding a cumin TC. Exactly. Except it's restricted for you can only take fishing resources or water resources with them. Do you guys know if the devs patched that whole oystering ship bug thing? Players were noticing that on Crater of Doom with the oystering ships. You would garrison them to avoid taking free damage, and they weren't able to fire any arrows. Okay, so Cablo has managed to fight off these Forteriger scouts, and now he's headed across the map with more archers. And these archers, I think they had the upgrades last time, but now there are twice as many of them. And Forteriger has to garrison the dock. Otherwise his fishing ships will be destroyed. Let's see, how close is Forteriger to clicking up to the Castle Age? He doesn't seem to have invested anything more.
Yeah, Forteriger doesn't need to invest more than this. He can stop making scouts. If anything, he could maybe drop a range to make a couple of skirms, just to be completely sure. But he's going to be ahead in eco. That gold that he's going to take is going to be kind of exposed. If the archers go around, they could hit it.
Yeah, it looks like Cablo is going to find this wood line here. I don't know how quickly these archers can get through this wall. This is where maybe like Saracens would have been a better choice here, but certainly that's annoying. And Forteriger making the very wise decision to tower his gold. Sets him back economy-wise, but it's pretty essential. Otherwise, he would be completely zoned off of gold. Cablo has to withdraw here. The archers are just too late. They're too late to get any damage in. Now, the archers could get good value from a fight if they were in this forest here. Look at all these trees. The scouts would struggle to get a good surround. But instead, Cablo's going to come over here, I guess, and explore this corner of the map. Which I don't... Maybe he thinks that Forteriger might have sent something out here. I mean, I think that there is more actual... There's actually more neutral stone. Like, the neutral stone piles are larger than your player-assigned stone piles. Being three tiles versus 2. Forteriger not going forward. And Cablo just kind of collecting in the corner here. So Cablo is walled, but he's got openings in his walls. I don't know if he's realized it yet. I mean, this is pretty obvious. So he should realize it soon. Maybe he hasn't plugged it with anything because Forteriger hasn't tried to attack him.
No, I think he just doesn't realize. I think he just dropped the line of wall without looking too much into it because it was microing the archers as well. So he probably went home, dropped down the wall without looking, and went back to micro his archers. And they're both up to castle age. And as I said, if Berbers can get to castle on this map, that cavalry spam is going to be insane. We got the second stable coming up for Forteriger. Bloodlines coming in. We already have the armor. So these 6 scouts, if they can catch the archers that Cablo has still left on the field, they could probably kill them. But those archers are just chilling in the corner there.
Yeah, so we got 6 scouts coming out across the map. Forteriger probably feels like he's in a pretty good position. Actually, Cablo will be first to the Castle Age. And now, what do you do if you're Georgians once you get into the Castle Age on this map? What's the plan? I haven't seen any more buildings from him. I guess there's this stable, which wasn't there before. So I guess he just goes into knights, and they just basically have a big knight battle.
I mean, if you go into knights, then the Berber player can just either make more knights than you or add camels, right? Oh, and scouts are in because of the hole. One thing I will say about Georgians on this map that I like is that you really have to expand because you're going to be running out of wood very quickly. And one thing the Georgians have is the fortified churches, right? Which not only gives their villagers a bonus for their working rate, but it also doubles as a defensive building. So that is nice when you have to expand like this. But I think he's just going to get overrun by the Berber spam.
Well, let's see. We only have 2 stables from the Berbers so far. Forteriger coming forward maybe for a mining camp on the gold, or maybe a town center on this ring somewhere. I think he's going to build a town center over here, actually. Yep, there it is. So it's a wood town center. Both players have run out of wood in their own bases, so they built town centers kind of in neutral wooded locations. And actually, both of them have managed to stay pretty much alive. Cablo's a little bit behind in villagers, but that's because he lost a couple villagers in a raid, a small raid, and Forteriger has these 4 fishing ships working for him, providing a passive food income. Very hard to raid these, actually. I would say that the fishing ship strategy was somewhat buffed on this map. This map is older than being able to garrison your docks. So when the map was originally designed, you could not garrison fishing ships in the docks. So I guess to counteract that, there's slightly less fish on this newer version now that docks can be garrisoned. Jasuni says, I hadn't noticed the bug. He's referring to oystering ships garrisoning in town centers, or in docks, not shooting arrows. I do think water rework made hybrid maps play better. Now hulks pair naturally with melee units like galleys do with archers. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
I'm not going to comment on the new water balance because You know what I think of it. I don't want to go into our rant, so I'll just shut up.
Yeah. Hyder,
Um,
you're going to get me blacklisted by the devs. They'll never work with
yeah,
us again if we let Hyder rant about the water rework. So Forteriger's here. He's going to exploit the same hole, but Kablo's ready for him. He's got some spearmen. Now the spearmen are going to get mowed down by the knights because there are too many knights. So Kablo was probably not expecting that number, but at least gives Kablo more of a heads up, so we can see that Kablo is retreating to his town center. Might lose fewer villagers in that way. And 2 villagers goes down, maybe a third here, but Forteriger underneath Kablo's fully garrisoned town center. These cavalry units have only the first armor upgrade, so they will take a little bit more damage to the town center, although the town center actually only has the first attack upgrade. So this is a pretty ugly situation for Kablo. Unfortunately, he's 15 villagers behind Forteriger now at this point. Forteriger's got some knights waiting here.
This is why you pick Teutons, folks. Just 25 vills inside the TC instead of 15. But yeah, that was a great trade from Rhaegar. And now he... Okay, yeah, he is going to lose that forward force, but he still can make cheaper units. His eco is still working, whereas Kablo was idle. So that was okay for him. And look at the military.
Yeah, they're about equal in military. I'm not sure where it is, where Kablo's military is. I guess he's got a few knights here, and I'm trying to find the rest of them.
I can tell you where half of his military is.
There it is, yeah. It's in the bottom corner of the map. He's forgotten about it. Maybe if he had that up here, he could have... Well, no, because Forteriger had knights, but he could still maybe do something with it. Neither player has really made an attempt to colonize the center of the map yet and take that gold. They both still have some gold in their base, but they're going to have to think about that pretty soon. We can see that Kablo is building a fortified church back here. I think that's a great investment. The fortified church will help keep his villagers safe, and it only costs wood.
Yep.
So he should be littering the map with these fortified churches if he can. Forteriger assembling for another raid, it looks like. I should say that this map has a little monument area in the middle. An obelisk with some torches and some ornamental trees around it. The map was named after a Dutch player who encouraged my early scripting ambitions. He went so far, he would frequently come to my streams while I was scripting, and he played a promotional show match for the King of Ireland tournament maps. So I don't know if you guys know Bluegill, but he died in, I think, January of 2022. It was very unfortunate. From what I had heard, self-harm. So this map was made in honor of him. So Forteriger with a huge mass of knights now, coming back for some more villager kills. There is one monk, but he's just overwhelmed. I think Kablo not investing sufficiently in military on the map. I mean, he did come back with his archers, but it's not, it's not really very much. I don't know. Georgians are not really known for archers, so I'm not exactly sure why he decided to go archers on this map. Maybe we could ask him.
I think I don't want to come off as a douchebag, basically, but I think people have gotten so used to archers being the meta on Arabia that they just automatically go archers every time.
Are archers really the meta on Arabia? I haven't even been tracking the meta here. But I guess it would make sense. You can wall pretty straightforwardly on Arabia. Arabia's, or at least much more wallable than this map. And I think archers could work. But they'd have to be basically hyper-aggressive. And you'd have to prevent your opponent from getting to this Berber knight spam. If Kablo had like, an archery range and a couple of towers, and he did some crazy Oladushek style tower rush, he would probably be ahead of where he is right now, because his opponent would never be over here. But, you know, that's not easy to do. It's not comfortable to do. And Forteriger keeps coming back here and killing a bunch of villagers, losing some disposable Berber knights, and then basically withdraws and saves up to do it again. And he's basically bleeding Kablo dry. And I think Kablo is just kind of building these town centers like he hasn't. He's sort of still in shock from the map, and he doesn't really have a plan. I feel like if he had a plan, he could do very well on this map. This map is very hard to defend. You could really hurt and screw up your opponent on this map if you have a good plan.
Yep. I think Kablo's main issue here was that, given the Civ matchup, he should have dealt way more damage in Feudal to his opponent than he did. Because once you get to Castle Age, both Civs tend to go into Cavalry, and Berbers are just always going to have the advantage, right? Because of the discount and because they have access to camels. Now, one thing Kablo could have done with Georgians, which sometimes you see, is just go CA, because the regeneration bonus applies to the CA. So it's true, you're not getting Thumbring, but if you can get to a decent mass, there's still going to be Cavalry Archers, which is, generally speaking, a good unit.
I don't know, Camel Archers just rip through Cavalry Archers.
Yeah. There's also that issue.
It'd be really tough. And, you know, if you're Kablo, and I hope that you will watch this, I don't want you to feel bad. You know, like, Alchemy League is very tough, and we're grateful that you're here trying out Alchemy League. Forteriger is experienced. Like, a lot of these guys that have been in our league, that are playing in Alchemy League now, have played in at least one season of the league already. And Forteriger was there, and he joined us in Alchemy League Season 8, when the league was arguably at its peak for unfairness. So he learned to deal with the unfairness very quickly. He had kind of this very rude awakening here. But, you know, these custom maps can be pretty unforgiving. And we have big respect for people that, you know, that sign up and give it a try. And so I don't want you to get discouraged, because it's definitely a different skill set from the ranked skill set. You know, everything about our league is designed to basically remove the ranked skill factor. You know, the standard map skill factor. And the kinds of winners that we get are not necessarily the kind of people that you would expect to win. Like, usually when people sign up for a tournament, it's like, okay, am I the bottom or the top of my division? And that basically determines whether or not you win, but you play it out just in case somebody fumbles the ball, basically. You know, it's not your tournament to win, it's the high elo of your division's tournament to lose. And that's basically the point of playing it out. But Alchemy League is a very different skill set. And we got people that are, you know, some people that have won several seasons of the league so far that you wouldn't really expect to win, just because they're not necessarily the highest elo, but just because for their elo, canceling everything else out, they see something very unique in the map, and they come up with a unique strategy and a unique way of playing it. So don't get discouraged, Kablo. We really respect that you're here. We're not trying to be overly critical or anything like that, and we know that if you stick with it, you'll adapt and you'll become a league veteran. Hopefully, that's our hope for everybody that tries out the league. So Kablo's here on this gold. I don't know if he's going to be able to take that gold. Forteriger might smell this.
Yeah, and Forteriger is up to him, so he's going to be able to trap down that castle from Kablo. Now, Kablo, luckily for him, he's Georgians, so he doesn't need as many resources when repairing the castle, so he might be able to keep it up until he gets to Imperial and manages to get out traps himself. The issue is that Berbers have access to bomber cannons, so if Forteriger went for chemistry right now, by the time... Oh, no, oh. He was about to lose that trap to the castle.
Yeah, that was good for Kablo right there.
Yeah. But yeah, if Forteriger gets chemistry and prepares a couple of bomber cannons, then Kablo will lose the trap war, because he doesn't get access to bomber cannons.
So we just saw Forteriger just run right by Kablo's gold miners. Kablo's out of gold. He's starved for gold. And Forteriger is diving his town center here. But
That's the MTC.
because oh, it's the MTC. Oh, damn. Well, then Cablo better defend it. But I was going to say, one of the advantages of Georgians here is that Cablo is just like that, holy crap, am I about to lose, 20 villagers moment. And then when Forteriger ran by, because Cablo had not built any mining camps here, Forteriger can't look at his minimap and be like, oh, there's a mining camp that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. I bet he's taking gold. So from Forteriger's point of view, as far as he can tell, unless he's actively looking at this area, Cablo is not taking gold here. And with the TC going down, Cablo calls the GG.
Tonight. Yeah.
But I thought it was a good game, well played. I think Cablo just... Oops, there we go. Cablo just did not really have a plan. He went archers, but he didn't get the value out of the archers. I don't know if his build wasn't quite fully, refined or where he would want it to be. But the resources on this map are pretty unforgiving, which can mean that it's easy to screw up, and there's not a lot of tolerance for not having an ideal build. But it also means that you can really hurt your opponent badly. If you take him off of his gold, or you take him off of his woodline, or you deny some farms. Cookie Pirate says GG. Yeah, it was a GG. They both fought well. Just Cablo kind of didn't have a plan for the second half of the game because he wasn't really sure what to do. And Forteriger took the fish greedily, played defensively with the scouts, got a couple of raids in because he knew about the lack of walling capability in the back, and was eventually able to turn that into a win.
Yep. And I think Cablo should have been... I think the timing with the archers and whatnot was actually good. He just didn't double down enough and didn't do enough damage to his opponent, and thus, well, he just got raided to death by the Berber spam.
All right, let's take a look at the statistics. So Forteriger with 155 kills and 50 units lost. That's pretty rough for Cablo. Buildings raised are 3. Cablo converted 10 units actually, so he did go into monks and he did take a bunch of enemy units. Forteriger with largest army of 60. Forteriger with more food, wood, stone, and gold collected. He was always in Cablo's base raiding him. Not always, but he did several good raids. And Cablo had faster feudal and castle age advancement times, but never made it to imp. Forteriger explored 84% of the map and researched 24 technologies. Forteriger with 6 relics captured, had over almost 1,200 relic gold and villager high of 117. Both had 1 castle. And here's the timeline of Forteriger slowly throttling Cablo into submission here, and throughout Cablo's castle age. But right before castle age, it was pretty competitive. Actually, Cablo had a bigger military, but basically as soon as they both hit castle, Cablo was raided by the Berber power spike. All right, I'm gonna load into the second game now.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so I'm at 0 seconds. I'm in the second game, and I am ready to go whenever you are.
I'm at 0 seconds as well.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so hello and welcome, guys. We got the second game in this set and last game in our cast today with esteemed guest, the Italian legend Hyder. We are casting Alchemy League Season 10. We have Cablo versus Forteriger on Emigration by Mercy. Mercy is a Dutch creator. I do not know much about him, except that this is his one and only map, his favorite map, and so we spent a lot of time and effort to get it right. It's a very unique concept. As you can see, both players start very close to each other. In the center of the map, looks like there's a little bit of bonus stone here, but otherwise you don't really have. Oh boy, these these berries and deer are so close to each other. You don't have deep fish in the center, but you have to emigrate out. And you have to come out here and you have to find the gold out here, and then you can use that to build galleys. So, given the proximity of these berries to each other, this could be a pretty quick game. I don't know. What if you were playing on this map and you couldn't get your berries because your opponent had them? Is it GG time for you, Hyder, or are there other options?
No, I think you wouldn't have to worry too much, because you're still going for fish, right? So you're still going to do some kind of water build where you skip the mill in Dark Age. So the berries are going to come into play later. But let's say you give out the berries because your opponent is going for land pressure, but due to that you win the water. I think you're still in a better position.
So they're both going to push in some deer, it looks like. Now the scout, is the scout stronger than the Champy warrior? I think it is. That's why Forteriger keeps bullying Cablo off of the deer every time Cablo tries to push them. So we've got, what is this civ here? We've got the Tupi versus not Tupi, the Vikings.
Yeah.
So Tupi versus Vikings. Tell me about this civ matchup.
I prefer the Vikings, 100%. They're going to be better on water. Their infantry is insane, which is going to be able to deal quite decently with the Tupis. A Champy. The only thing the Tupis have going for them is basically their castle unique unit, which is kind of dumb. I'll be honest. But on a map like this, I don't think you can make good use of that, because it's basically an archer, so this is going to be mainly a water map and 2Ps. I'm looking at their water tech tree. Yeah, it's nothing too exciting.
So I wonder what Cablo's plan is then. Is he just gonna try to maybe sneak out to the outside and take some stone, or take some stone on his home island, and then build a castle and just dominate and just kind of, you know, try to avoid taking water fights? Is this just going to be like a cheesy unique unit, push it across everywhere that your opponent has villagers kind of strategy, or is this something different?
I mean, that's an option, but I think just going for standard water play is going to be a better approach. Now, that said, 2Ps, one of their bonuses is that you start with 25 more of every single resource. So that's nice when you... Well, it's nice to begin with, but it's especially nice on hybrid or water maps where you tend to have tighter builds.
So they both know about the stone in the bottom, but neither player has gone for it. If you found that stone there, would you be all over that stone? What kind of situation would make you want to come for this stone and build towers everywhere on your opponent's wood lines and forward berries and that sort of thing?
No, I probably wouldn't go for that stone. I mean, Cablo, I don't think he can... No, okay, yeah, he can fit a settlement there. But I think on this map you don't have to worry too much about the middle island. The idea is to get out of there as quickly as possible, because the real resources are on the outside. Gold, stone, more wood.
More space, bonus tapirs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Cablo has built himself a little fighting pit here for the enemy scout to come in and attack him. I'm not really sure exactly what this is.
Cablo doesn't have a wood line on a water map.
Oh, now that is different, isn't it? What's the plan?
Yeah,
he's chopping some the stragglers, and then he's going to build a transport, and he's going to build his wood line out here. Is that the plan? He's built a dock.
Is he going to?
Let's see.
Is he going to have enough wood for a transport? That's my question.
I think so. It'll be close. Let's see. He's got 60 here, 40 there, so it's about 100 more. Needs 125 to build a transport, right? So he's got 143 wood now. And yep, the transport ship is queued up. And he's going to finish up these 2 trees. And Cablo is just not even going to deal with the wood line on the starting island. Yeah, this is going to be very close. Let's see. 89. Yeah, he's going to afford it. He's going to be able to afford it. So he drops off the wood here. And that's an excellent point. That's all he needs. She's going to drop off a little bit more. And he has the wood for a lumber camp. So Forderegger going to be a little bit disappointed. You know, he scouts this whole map and he sees that his opponent has not built on the wood at all. Oh, wait a second. He doesn't get a lumber camp, does he? He has
Nope, he
settlement.
Which is 125 wood, so...
Okay. So
he's got to wait.
Afford it. So he can still afford it. I think. No, he needs 2 more. Oh my goodness. Alright, there he is. He just got... There it is. So he's building a settlement here on this gold. On the wood. I think he could build it right up against the wood. I'm not sure why he built it there.
Yeah.
Maybe just a quick click to get it down and building. And he's actually taking gold for whatever reason. What in the world? I guess this must have just been an auto assignment kind of thing. He'll probably drop off and start taking wood.
Oh, and Rhaegar with the tower.
Forderegger with the tower. Oh yeah, the tower on the berries. A very annoying choice. Now the good news for Cablo is that he can just garrison and drop everything off in the town center and then get back on his transport ship and come over. Where is his transport ship actually? Where did it go? He had it. He moved the villagers. It's probably out here exploring somewhere. Let's check the...
Yeah, he's scouting with the transport, which is not ideal because now he's not going to be able to transport his vills.
It's kind of
and those vills have... Yeah, and those vills have nothing to do because there's no stragglers left around the TC. So...
Wonder if he builds another transport ship at this point. Force drops...
He doesn't have the wood.
Force drop the wood to build a transport ship. At least collect some wood maybe while you're waiting. But
yeah,
that is pretty awkward. Sort of getting caught with your britches down. So Forderegger has taken the berries in the center via use of a tower. He's also fishing. He's got a Hulk here. Cablo... Yep. Okay. And he's got... Forderegger's transport ship is also scouting. The scouting temptation is certainly real. Alright, he's taken some of these turtles. And I think Cablo wants to skip the feudal age. He's moving more villagers now. I think one of the best things that you can do on this map, actually, is to, come out here and take as many of these islands as you can. To colonize as many islands as you can. It does 2 things. The first thing that it does is it gives you more options for, like, different resource situations that you can take. And it also makes it harder for your opponent to zone you off of certain areas using ships, right? Because let's say that Forderegger builds up a huge navy now and controls the water, and Cablo can't land villagers anywhere because he can't keep a transport ship alive. In that case, in the case where Cablo is entirely concentrated on a single island, that restricts him to that single island. But if he had already landed out here, then, who cares, right? You can get to Castle Age, build more town centers, be everywhere. He could make it quite chaotic. So this Hulk is here, and it's gonna sink some fishing ships, it looks like, or board them, I should say. I didn't see what happened to the transport. I assumed that it was destroyed. Jasuni says the first settlement should have been built lower, in my opinion, so that it could get both food and wood. Yeah, so like maybe down here. That would have been a good spot. Second settlement should have built for both as well, is the main advantage of settlements. That's true.
Yeah, also I'm going to touch on what Jasuni said about the Champi. It's not just the Champi is slower so it cannot flee. It's just that technically in Dark Age it takes the same amount of hits for a scout to kill a Champi and for a Champi to kill a scout. So normally you would think it's 50-50. But the Champi always loses because the attack animation is also slower. So if you take the fight head on, you just lose. So Champis they're sad. they're very sad in Dark Age.
They're very
They cannot flee, they cannot fight. They just die.
All right, so we got some Hulks here. Oh, nope, never mind. They're just kind of sitting here waiting for Cablo to build another transport ship. Now, the good news for Cablo is that he could build multiple docks, right? So he could come over here and build another... Ooh, just as I say that, Forteriger decides to land the one island that Cablo is on. And he is building a Viking stable. So Cablo has just achieved the resources that he needs to click up to the Castle Age. Forteriger is already castling. The Vikings have a strong economy. They get wheelbarrow for free, and they get handcart for free too. So why not take advantage of that strong economy? Vikings don't have the best tech tree. Their tech tree, frankly, sucks. But you know, that's kind of the whole point. The Vikings have a strong economy, and you have to deal. If as the Vikings, you haven't won with your stronger economy earlier on, then you sort of deserve to be at a disadvantage. Or let me flip that around and say, if you can survive an opponent who has a strong Viking eco, and you can really tech into good units, then you deserve to win with those units. That's kind of how, at least for me, my games against Vikings go. So we're probably going to see Forteriger build some knights here from the stable.
Yep, there they are. And the thing about the Vikings tech tree is that they used to actually be a very good Arabia civ due to the eco bonus and whatnot, but they took away Thumbring from them, so their archers now are not as good as they used to be, and basically since then nobody's ever is playing them on Arabia anymore.
That is unfortunate. But the Vikings were not exactly known for Arabia. But Arabia doesn't necessarily mean Arabia, it just means an open land map. An open vanilla land map. And that could be anywhere. So Cablo has built a market here, and the market and a blacksmith will help Cablo advance to the next stage. And as you can see, Cablo is clicked up to the Castle Age, and he's getting Bodkin, so it looks like he wants to go archers himself. I don't see where Cablo is on stone. Let's check though. Yeah, it doesn't look like Cablo has anything on stone, and Forteriger has a plan for Cablo. So Forteriger doesn't know where Cablo is. He actually doesn't even know that Cablo's on this island. He has not scouted anything of Cablo's on this island. He scouted this island out pretty thoroughly. So it's kind of luck. He doesn't know that Cablo's on this island. For all he knows, Cablo could be over here. So he takes a little bit of a risk and builds these knights in this location. And sure enough, finds some of Cablo's villagers. So that is a disaster for Cablo. Cablo will lose all but 5 villagers here. He does not have a transport ship, and Cablo calls the GG. Yeah, GG, well played. Not prepared for Forteriger to build here. Now, it's kind of tricky, right? I guess, in theory, Cablo could have prevented this by building some houses along the edge of the island for some visibility, so he could know when he was landed, or actually in the interior, so he could have seen them coming. So Forteriger maybe, shift clicks or attack moves into this location, and the knights attack the house and give him a warning, or even he just sees the blue dots moving across the map. Forteriger was a little bit lucky because it was 50-50. Cablo could have just as easily come over here. But I would say that the chances were slightly better that Cablo would colonize this because it was logically the most direct behind him.
Yeah, I think Forteriger saw where the initial dock from Cablo was, and then he just thought, okay, he's going to take the shortest route, and he's going to go to the closest island, and that island was right in front of his dock. So I think that's why Forteriger was so sure that Cablo would be there.
Now, it could be an Ola Dushek style play to build the dock like in the wrong spot, build it, you know, directly in the center of one island, and then just intentionally never go there. He would probably even build a couple houses on the outside just to trick his opponent, and then he would come over here and you know, build everything that he cared about on the other islands. So there are definitely some mind games that you could play on this map, but unfortunately, Cablo kind of got a little bested here by Forteriger. There isn't really a better way to play it. I think Cablo had some good ideas. You know, he was going to go Castle Age and go into the unique unit, but Forteriger's Viking economy just overpowered him. The tower was just up in time. Cablo wanted to take the shortcut with the settlement. That was a good idea, um, but I don't know that that is necessarily the play. I don't really see any reason to default to settling on the outside when you can. It's kind of hard for your opponent to take all of the wood or to secure all of the wood, especially with just one tower. So there wasn't really anything stopping him from taking the wood here. It was just a style choice.
Yeah, the settlement placement was weird. As the Sunni said in chat, the initial settlement just needed to be more towards the south so that it could double as a berry drop off and it would drop off. And I think if Cablo does that, then he's actually in a good spot because he's saving so many resources because he won't need a mill later on. And if he does that, it becomes basically a very different game. Now that said, he's still against Vikings on a water map, so he's going to have an uphill battle. But
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if Cablo plays in many tournaments, but one of the skills that other tournaments will teach you is that you probably don't want to let your opponent have Vikings on a water map like this. But I think also we changed the draft slightly, and there are now more available civs in this second sprint, and that was Otter's idea. So I'm not trying to blame the Otter one because we all love the Otter one and everything. But we're still kind of fine tuning, for this 2 or 3 game system. How many civs do we want to give people? How much flexibility do we want them to have in their games? Do we want to be super strict and basically you got one civ left and you're forced to play a civ on a given map, or do we want to give them a couple different choices here? And so this may have happened to Cablo where he didn't really have any good options because Forteriger had a bunch of competent civs available for this map.
I mean, the draft will kind of helps you prevent having to face such strong saves to begin with, right? There are 16 admin bans. There are 4 bans per player, and you have a snipe available. So I don't know. You can't really blame it on the draft system if you find yourself facing Vikings on a map like this.
So Forteriger with 15 kills, 1 unit lost, 1 building razed, and a largest army of 11. So it was just the night sneak. Cablo didn't see it coming. So I don't really think there's much point in grinding through the rest of the statistics. Too long, didn't read. Forteriger had a sneak stable with some knights and took advantage of the fast castle time to ambush a bunch of opponents' villagers. So we'll return to the replays there. But GG, well played from all players. It's always a lot of fun casting Alchemy League, and we're particularly lucky to have Hyder join us today. Hyder, you got any closing thoughts before I end the stream?
I'm hungry. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, Hyder's, yeah, it's probably dinner time for Hyder. It's getting close to 8, 9 o'clock when those Italians eat supper. So, Hyder, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for all your support for the league, and we'll catch you later.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to put it on the closing crawl. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.